Here with me at the workbench, got the receiver in the soft jaws, and I've got the indicator on the back of the bolt. And this is how 1500, really not that bad for a factory rifle. I've got about 10 thousandths of bolt play at the back. With a hunting rifle, I'd like to see that around 3 or 4 thousandths. So we're gonna look at epoxy sleeving the back of the receiver, and we'll put epoxy down these holes and push it down there with the scope mount bolt, and we'll mix some atomized stainless steel in with the epoxy so it's extremely durable. It will last the life of the rifle, but I'd like to see this 10 thou play taken down to about 3 or 4 thousandths. Competition rifle, we'd want 1 or 2, but this being a hunting rifle, I'd be very happy with 3 or 4 thousandths of play. All right, so just finished up using carbide cutter and some very rough sandpaper inside the back of the receiver where we want the epoxy to stick, because gun coat is self-lubricating. Epoxy will not stick to that, so we have to kind of score the surface where we want the epoxy sleeve to stick to the receiver. Next, we will put some release agent on the bolt body itself so we can get it out and it doesn't get epoxied permanently in there. And we will mix up some epoxy and get this rolling so it can cure. Okay, getting ready for epoxy sleeving the receiver to minimize bolt play. We've got our release agent. We'll coat the back of the bolt with shoe wax polish so the epoxy does not stick there. Got the Marine Tex Gray we'll mix up. Really only need a tiny bit amount, but we're gonna mix some stainless steel powder in that as well to give it longevity and more structure. And then what we're gonna do is inject it into these holes and push it down into there while the bolt is in place with one of the ring screws. Then we'll let it cure. Okay, we got our epoxy all mixed up and ready to apply. We're just gonna add a little bit of this atomized stainless steel powder, mix it in thoroughly. The bolt is installed. I keep this screw here, and I'll use a toothpick to apply epoxy down into these holes, and this screw will act as a plunger to push it down in there. All right, so waiting on cure now. What we did is mixed up a gram of the epoxy. I just grab it on a toothpick here, use the toothpick to get it down in the hole, and then one of the scope mount bolts, just screw it in there, obviously except on the back, to inject. And I do that twice in the front hole, 4 times in the back. We don't want too much, otherwise we make way more work tailoring this, and you can overdo this very easily. And then we clean up everything inside the screw holes with white vinegar, because white vinegar dissolves the epoxy, and we'll let it sit 24 hours. Good sharp lift on the bolt handle should release the release agent over there, so the bolt should slide right out. Sometimes it takes some work to get the bolt out, and then we can sand and tailor the inside if needed. If I did this right, shouldn't have to do that, and we'll reevaluate with the indicator how much play we have at the rear of the bolt, and then she'll be ready for test fire. All right, so here we are post epoxy sleeving, have the dial indicator set up here, and I'm just going to be pushing down on the bolt and then up on the bolt, and we're down to about 3 thousandths of indicator movement. So we've effectively removed a good portion of the bolt play out. Let's get this out of the way. And the bolt still operates. very smooth. Let's see if we can get this out of the vise real quick. Show you. So you can see the epoxy just coated the back of the receiver there and cured. That will last the life of the rifle. Exceptional results. Excited to get this to test fire.